But this part about you learning to be a person,
Yeah.
you said you learned from me. What were you before?
Oh, I don't know. That was.
Do you find writers more fun to hang out with than other people?
No.
Is there
no.
talk?
No. No. I think writers are more fun to email with than other people.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always felt like, you know, when you're writing, you have time to go back and refine yourself and be more truthful, be funnier, be more direct. Whatever personality defects you have, you can look at them and go, yep, there you are again, old friend, and work with it. And then, so in the end, the thing that comes out is more interesting and smarter and more accessible and funnier. So that, I mean, I think when I first was really interested in writing, it was this sense that I didn't have enough. I liked the world, I loved people, and I wanted to be in there somewhere. But when I would show up in person, I just felt like, oh, I'm so disappointing to myself. You know, I wanted to be more. And then when I sat down to write something, the thing that got produced eventually had more of me in it than I did. So I felt like, well, you could send that ahead of yourself, you know, and then show up, not say much, not let anybody know. But
have you found it true, as I did the hard way, that you invite a writer on and he can't talk too good?
Well, I can't. I mean, I'm from the south side of Chicago, and my one of the things I do in all my books is make these inarticulate characters. But you know, it's pretty easy. You just kind of, you know, yeah. So I mean, my working theory has been that you, whatever mode of discourse you can occupy enthusiastically, you should do so, and then trusting that if you work with it and exaggerate that mode, it becomes poetic. So in Chicago, a lot of the guys, the older guys in the neighborhood were not particularly articulate in a traditional way, and they would say, if they wanted to express affection for you, they might say, you jagoff, you fucking, you know what I'm, you fuck, but we knew the language, and he loves me.
And you say, may I quote?
Yeah. But so one of the, I mean, as a kind of a writer from that background, for a long time, I just tried to be Nabokov and failed. I tried to be Hemingway and failed. And then for me, a big turning point was when I went, you know, maybe if I just take that mode and all the other strange American street modes that I know, let them into the table and just sort of put some adrenaline in them, kind of get them to step up and be dictional systems, then that might be poetry too. And in fact, that's kind of what I've been doing. So when I talk, I always feel inarticulate. But I think, well, if I could write it, I could refine it. And maybe I could even make it less articulate, but more meaningful.
In an interesting way.
Yeah.
Does it embarrass you to talk about your style? Because they always write about his style is this and that, and obviously obsessed with words, they say to you, and that kind of thing. But should a writer think about a style?
I think so, all the time.
Yeah,
I do. But sometimes, you know, what I found is the style is actually you regarded with generosity. So in other words, all of, you know, your natural attributes and tendencies and tics, even your habits. As a young writer, you're trying to put up a screen and say, you have to stay out. Only Old English is spoken here. And then at some point, style means let the fence down, let all those idiots in, let them gather around, and then see what they really want to say. So for me, for example, when we were younger, I worked for engineering companies, and I have a degree in engineering. So technical language is really natural to me. And so for many years, I thought, well, that's too bad, because that isn't literature. But then if you say, well, maybe it is, and you start letting it in, your style becomes that which is readily available to you. So style, maybe I tell my students, sometimes style is the voice that you can do very easily, your mother's voice or your father's voice or your sibling's voice. Or it might even be your voice, the part of it that you're secretly ashamed of might actually be the key to your originality. You know, you have this, I think when writers are young, we have this idea that, you know, you fall in love with Hemingway, and there's Hemingway Mountain, and it's so beautiful. You know, there's clouds at the top and a bunch of manly men standing around. And so you think, I'll do that. And you strike up the hill, And it's hard work, but you're going to be Hem someday, and, or you'll be in the Hem lineage. You'll be the recipient of the Hemingway Prize. And then you get up there and you get close to the top, you see that all you're ever going to be is Hemingway light, you know, or you'll be an imitator. Yeah. So then you think, oh, that's ridiculous, and you come down, and it's discouraging. And then you look over, and thank goodness, you know, Kerouac Mountain is nearby, and you know, you go up there. So I think you know, you do a lot of that. And finally, for me, after we'd had our daughters and I was working at an engineering company, I took one more shot at James Joyce Mountain, which was actually this wedding novel that I tried.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I can't do it anymore. So luckily, we had here's a sentence you won't often hear. Luckily, we had a conference call scheduled. And so I was taking notes in the conference call and got really bored and started writing these little poems, this kind of Dr. Seussian sort of rhyming, kind of nasty, kind of funny things. And every time I'd finish, I'd flip it over so they couldn't see it, and I'd make an illustration and flip that over. So this wasn't too long after that Mexican novel fiasco. And I brought it home and sort of threw it on the table. And my wife read this. And I heard for the first time in about 7 years of writing, really sincere laughter. You know, like pleasure. That's what I should. So at that point, I started being funny. I started allowing myself to be funny, to be a little bit working class in the thing. So I had a great week and wrote this story that was later published. And but that was a little bit like looking over and you get Saunders' molehill. You know, just a little pile of crap with my name on it. Because the story wasn't anything like I wanted my stories to be. They weren't like Carver, they weren't like Hemingway, they was just that, you know. Yeah. And it felt original, but it felt a little sad too to have to come down off all these high peaks and, you know, go down there. But I think.
Does it annoy a high quality writer like yourself? I won't look you in the eye because you might blush. When people without much talent have great success in writing?
I don't think that ever happens, Dick.
All right, what about Rod McEwen? Oh, God, I just remembered. He was a nice guy, too, so you know I'm going to say something awful. He came on the show at the peak of his success. And I introduced him as America's most understood poet. Is that bad? Oh, God, it's coming back. Not only that, I said, as sure as June doth rhyme with moon, here in the flesh is Rod McEwen.
Oh.
You know, there's a side of me you might not have ever seen.
Yeah. I'm expanding my definition of how to be a person.
Yeah. He's going to take it back, I know.